been a long time coming, but Football Manager 26 will finally be available from the 4th of November. So now it's time to put on our thinking caps to consider who we want to manage in our first FM26 saves, and some interesting challenges for the rest of the game cycle. This version of Football Manager represents one of the game's biggest step changes, with Sports Interactive integrating the Unity match engine, a new user interface, and the addition of women's football. With that in mind, we'll be recommending some bigger clubs that allow you to ease yourself into the game, but don't worry, there's no Man United rebuilds here, and a few more niche challenges. So with no further ado, here are our 26 teams to manage in FM26. As is traditional with our save suggestion guides, we'll kick off with one club from each of the top 8 European leagues. Our suggestion from England's Premier League is Brentford Football Club. Crystal Palace's FA Cup success last season means 2 current Premier League sides have yet to win a major trophy: Fulham and Brentford. The latter is arguably the biggest challenge in England's top tier, as despite their decent start in real life, they lost their best 2 players and replaced them with Jordan Henderson and Dango Uatara for pretty big money. Your task is to continue Brentford's previous smart business to snap up relatively known talent, potentially using a database approach if possible. Use that approach to first of all guide Brentford into Europe for the first time, then win the club's first major silverware, and eventually lead them to their maiden Premier League title. Our suggestion from France's Ligue 1 is Football Club de Nantes. Taking on PSG is arguably a bigger challenge than ever before on FM26. The perennial French champions, who won 11 of the last 13 Ligue 1 titles and 4 on the bounce, also became champions of Europe last season and have racked up some of the best young talent in France. Mounting a challenge to that is going to be tough, but not impossible. One of the most interesting prospects for that task is FC Nantes, the 8-time French champions who haven't won the title since 2001. Last season, Nantes only avoided a relegation by 3 points and only scored 39 goals, the 4th lowest tally in Ligue 1. So your challenge is to arrest Nantes' fortunes and begin hoovering up French talent to work your way up the table and eventually topple the might of PSG. Our suggestion from Germany's Bundesliga is Sport Club Freiburg. Since Bundesliga was founded in 1963, FC Bayern has won more titles than the rest of its competitors combined. That's 33 plays 29. In fact, only half of the teams currently in Bundesliga have ever won it, so that gives you plenty of scope to select a team and, using the considerable prize money on offer in Germany, build a side capable of taking on the mighty Bayern. Our pick would be Freiburg, whose 26 seasons in Bundesliga is the most without winning a title, 6 more than nearest contenders Mainz. Freiburg, founded in 1904, only played in the second tier of German football for the first time in 1978. They reached Bundesliga for the first time in 1993 and achieved a record high finish of 3rd in their second season in the top flight, just 3 points behind winners Borussia Dortmund. In that season, they earned the nickname Breisgau Brasiliana for their attractive style of play. The club's been on the rise in recent years, narrowly missing out on the Champions League in the last 3 seasons, but its only major honour remains that second-tier title in 1993. So your task is to harness the Brazilian reference, build an exciting team with an exciting style, and usurp Bayern to win Freiburg's first Bundesliga. Our suggestion from Italy's Serie A is Parma Calcio. Parma was the team to manage on various Championship Manager iterations, with world-class talents like Lilian Thuram, Gianluigi Buffon, Hernan Crespo, Fabio Cannavaro, and Juan Sebastian Veron donning the famous white shirt. However, despite those great teams, Parma have, perhaps surprisingly, never been crowned champions of Italy. They're nowhere near putting that right anytime soon. This summer they brought in around £70 million for talents like Leone, Boni and Som, and signed some interesting replacements in Vélez midfielder Christian Ordóñez and Troyes defender Abdoulaye Ndiaye. Your task is to continue building a team that can climb Serie A and win Parma's first ever Scudetto. Our suggestion from Netherlands Eredivisie is Go Ahead Eagles. Go Ahead Eagles' glory years came before the professional era of football in the Netherlands, winning 4 Dutch championships between 1917 and 1933. But things may well be on the up for the Eagles, as not only do they have a superb name, there was the prize package of Dutch football last season. An impressive 7th place in Eredivisie, which remained way off the pace of the big 3, secured group stage European football for the first time in the club's history. Therefore, your challenge is to use the funds that their Europa League campaign should yield to slowly build a go-ahead side that can bridge the gap to the big 3 and ultimately win the club's first Eredivisie title. Our pick from Portugal's Primeira Liga is Grupo Desportivo Estoril Praia. It's common knowledge that only 5 clubs have ever been champions of Portugal, with only Belenenses, Boa Vista rising above the big 3 of Benfica, Porto and Sporting in 1946 and 2001 respectively. That gives you a broad scope of clubs to challenge Portugal's big boys and install them as first-time champions. One of the most intriguing may be Estoril, who recorded their record high position of 4th back in 2014 to ensure their second and most recent season in European competition. They also never won a major trophy, coming runner-up in both Portuguese Cups on 1 occasion. So your mission is to change that by building an Estoril side that wins that elusive cup competition en route to becoming the 6th club to become champion of Portugal. Our pick from Scotland's Premiership is St Mirren. Speaking of dominance, no club other than the Glasgow pair of Celtic and Rangers has won the Scottish title for 40 years. In FM, that dominance usually continues for at least 30 years, so your job is to prevent that from happening. Of the 12 teams in the Cinch Premiership this season, only St Mirren and promoted sides Falkirk and Livingston have never been champions of Scotland. My pick would be St Mirren, a club founded in 1877 and the league's surprise package last season, finishing in 6th place. Your challenge is to build on that by leading St Mirren into Europe and targeting cup success while building a team capable of usurping the old firm. Finally, our pick from Spain's La Liga is Sevilla. I recently read a fascinating article about Sevilla partnering with IBM to create their own generative AI-driven scouting tool, Scout Advisor. The club uses the tool to assess scouting reports and boost talent identification, and based on how they performed last season, it seems Sevilla need that talent identification more than ever. The club only avoided relegation by 1 point, finishing 17th in La Liga on 41 points and only scoring 42 goals. And apparently their solution was to go and sign old man Alexis Sanchez. This got me thinking that if FM26's data analysis is better than FM24, which won't be difficult, Sevilla would be a fun challenge to use data to rebuild their squad. Therefore, your mission would be to rely on data to lead Spain's oldest sporting club devoted to football to its 2nd La Liga title, 80 years on from its sole success. If you fancy a bit more of a challenge, you might want to consider taking on a role further down the pyramid or in one of Europe's smaller leagues. Here are a few interesting challenges across the rest of Europe. 3-time Belgian champions Cercle Bruges only avoided relegation from the top tier via a playoff last season. Furthermore, the club hasn't been Belgian champions since 1930, while watching city rivals Club Bruges win 18 since the early 1970s. So your challenge is to reverse the club's fortunes, restore Cercle as the pride of Bruges, and win their first title in approaching a century. And hopefully the negative transfer nonsense that ruined Belgium in FM24 won't still be in FM26. Aalborg is one of the oldest clubs in Denmark, having been founded in May 1885. It has historically been a Superliga mainstay, but only won its first national title in 1995, winning 3 more in 1999, 2008 and 2014. However, 11 years on from that latest success, the club was relegated from the top tier last season. After finishing 9th in the regular season, Aalborg only picked up 3 points from 10 games in the relegation group to drop into the 2nd tier. Therefore, your mission is to lead AAB back into Superliga and build a side capable of winning a 5th title. 24 clubs have been champions of England since the Football League was founded in 1888. Of those, Portsmouth in 1949 and 1950 are the only teams south of London to have won the English title. So this challenge is to take a club based south of Portsmouth from the lowest playable league in Football Manager to become the southernmost champion of England. The only options to do that are Torquay United and Eastbourne Borough. We'll lean towards Eastbourne, given the club has never previously competed in the Football League. Eastbourne was founded in 1965 and played in regional leagues until reaching the newly formed Conference South in 2004. They reached the Conference National for the first time in 2008, suffered relegation after 3 seasons in Tier 5, and have remained in Tier 6 ever since. Last season they finished 3rd and missed out on promotion in the playoffs, so your task is to go one better and be the catalyst for the sport's rise through the leagues. No team other than the Big Four of Olympiakos, Panathinaikos, AEK Athens and PAOK has won the Greek title since 1988. Furthermore, Olympiakos have only failed to win it 6 times since 1996, and only 2 other clubs, Larissa and Aris, have won the league since it was founded in 1927. As a result, 8 of the 14 Super League clubs have never been Greek champions. So if you're after a fun FM26 challenge, how about leading one of these clubs to becoming Greece's 7th champion? Our recommendation is a club that's not based on the Greek mainland, by taking control of OFI from the island of Crete, who recently signed former FM Wonder Kid striker Eddie Salcedo. Italy's Scudetto has never been won by a club south of Naples on the mainland and Cagliari on the southern coast of Sardinia. To put that right, we've got a doozy of a challenge for you to take control of the southernmost Italian side playable in FM and attempt to lead them to the top of Serie A. However, if that sounds too simple, how about taking control of Serie CC side Siracusa, based in the town of Syracuse in the southeast corner of Sicily, and only using players born on Sicily to lead the club through the leagues and surpass Italy's elite. This task, commonly known as the Regionaire, will force you to search for players born in towns across Sicily, which has a sizable player base given 4.8 million people live on the island. Speaking of tough challenges on FM26, semi-professional Edinburgh City go into this season on minus 15 points. The club only reached the Football League for the first time in 2016, then gained promotion to League 1 in 2022, only to be relegated after 2 seasons. However, after finishing 3rd in League 2 and losing out in the playoffs last season, the club was handed a 15-point deduction due to insolvency issues. The debt was soon paid off, but their appeal was rejected and the points penalty was upheld, along with an additional 5-point deduction for next season. Your challenge is to overcome that by initially avoiding dropping out of the playable leagues, then pushing on and usurping the likes of Hearts and Hibs to become the biggest club in Edinburgh. FC Tatran Prešov is the oldest club in Slovakia, having been founded in May 1898. The club was part of the original Czechoslovakian League in 1920 and was twice runner-up in 1965 and 1973. However, Slovakia's oldest club has never won the league title, either in Czechoslovakia or Slovakia, with its biggest achievement to date being a single Slovak Cup success in 1992. The club was relegated out of the top tier for the first time in its history in 2002, which led to a gradual decline that almost ended in bankruptcy, but it was rescued in 2005 and gained promotion 3 years later. Relegation followed again in 2013 and in 2019, before gaining another promotion by winning the second tier last season. So your task is to lead the Green-White Horses to survival in the first season, then build a team capable of winning their first title in their near 130-year history. If the big bucks of FC Barcelona aren't to your liking, how about staying in the city with an up-and-coming club whose tickets are more in demand than their big-name rivals? Sant Andreu has a fascinating history, including being saved by Catalan artist Salvador Dali, who saved the club from financial turmoil at the request of the club's president by painting the picture gold and selling it for €4 million. The club also wears the historic yellow and red stripes on a kit created by Catalan manufacturer Meba, which was previously the official Barcelona manufacturer. As locals become increasingly alienated by the wealth and tourism surrounding Barcelona and focus more on lower league football, Sant Andreu and its fellow local rivals Europa have benefited from sold-out crowds week after week. In 2019, it only had 700 season ticket holders. Now it has around 6,000. Last season, Sant Andreu lost 2-1 in the playoffs to miss out on promotion and stay in Spain's 4th tier. So your challenge is to put that disappointment behind them and lead Sant Andreu's rise with the fairly lofty long-term ambition to take down the mighty Barcelona. If Europe doesn't appeal to you on FM26, then no worries. Here are some intriguing options to kick off your career with clubs based in Africa, Asia and the Americas. The Argentinian league tends to be pretty chaotic, not least because the format of the league seems to change every year. But if you're looking for a fun Argentinian challenge, Central Cordoba recently won the first major trophy in club history, as they lifted Copa Argentina to qualify for continental competition for the first time. Your challenge is to use that success as a springboard and build a Central Cordoba side that can challenge the big Buenos Aires clubs. Staying in Argentina brings us to a sleeping giant save. Buenos Aires side Quilmes was founded in November 1887, making it the oldest active club competing in Argentinian football. It also won the maiden Primera División title back in 1912, only adding one more in 1979. However, El Cervecero, the Brewers, who are named after the Cerveza Quilmes brewery in the city, which is also the club's main sponsor, in true South American style, suffered relegation the year after winning their second title. It became somewhat of a yo-yo club, but has found itself stuck in Argentina's second-tier Primera Nacional since 2017. So your mission is to lead the club back into the top flight and claim Argentina's oldest club's long overdue third title. Brazil's Serie A has a funny knack for big clubs suffering a poor season, as evidenced by the likes of Fluminense and Santos suffering relegations in recent times. The next club on that list could well be Ceará-based Fortaleza, who finished 4th in Serie A last season, but at the time of recording were next to bottom of the league and 5 points from safety with 12 games remaining. The club, whose nicknames include O Rei Leão do Brasil, Lion King of Brazil, has won 46 Campeonato Cearense state championship titles without winning Brazil's Serie A or any other major competition. Your mission is to rebuild the club, also referred to as Club de Garotada, Club of the Youth, by developing the best youth system in Brazil and leading it to its first domestic and continental glory. I don't think we've ever recommended a team in Brazil's third tier Serie C, and I've certainly never managed in it. However, Retro, from the city of Camaragibe in Greater Recife in northeast Brazil, offers an intriguing opportunity to do just that. The club was only founded in 2016 and gained promotion from the 4th tier Serie D last season. Not only does it have a cool name, but it also has really cool kits that play on its name, with a retro design topped off by drawstring collars. Given the club has only been in existence for under a decade, you have an opportunity to write the club's history from scratch and continue its climb through the leagues to challenge Brazil's elite. Chile is gaining a reputation for unlikely winners, with Huachipato's 2023 success about to be followed up by Coquimbo Unido lifting their first ever title this season. Since it was founded in 1933, 16 clubs have won the Chilean title, including the Santiago Big Three of Colo-Colo, Universidad de Chile and Universidad Católica, winning 68 of the 108 titles. However, only 4 of those were won before Santiago Morning's sole title in 1942. The club, based in Recoleta in the north of the capital, was formed in 1903 by students at Santiago College under the name Santiago Football Club and was a founding member of the Chilean Primera División in 1933. The club has largely competed in the top tier in recent seasons, but suffered relegation to Primera B last year, so your mission is to gain promotion then overhaul their Santiago rivals to add the club's second title. Arguably, the most brutal nation in FM is Colombia, where the schedule becomes virtually impossible if you're lucky enough to compete on all fronts. Only 16 clubs have been champions of Colombia since Primera A was founded in 1948, with the big seven sides Atlético Nacional, Millonarios, América de Cali, Deportivo Cali, Junior, Santa Fe and Independiente Medellin winning 85 of the 99 seasons to date. As a result, 6 of the 20 teams currently in Colombia's top tier have never won the national title, and 5 of the first-time winners have achieved that feat in the last 20 years. The clubs never to have won it includes one of Colombia's newest clubs, Llaneros, who were only founded in March 2012 after purchasing the rights to Bogotá club Academia. The club, based in Villavicencio in the southeast of Bogotá, found itself on the wrong end of a match-fixing allegation in December 2021, when video footage appeared to show their players allowing Union Magdalena to score a promotion-sealing goal, which resulted in those players being fined and suspended. Llaneros put that behind them to reach 2 playoff finals before eventually gaining promotion to Colombia's top tier for the first time in last season's grand final. So your mission is to continue that good work by leading Llaneros to survival, then building a team capable of becoming Colombia's 17th national champion. Machida Zelvia were the surprise tale of J1 League in 2024. The club came close to winning the Japanese league in their first season in the top tier, leading the way through to the end of September. However, just 8 points from their final 8 games saw them tail off to finish third. But it's relatively remarkable. The club was only founded in 1984 and was in non-league as recently as 2009. Furthermore, this is the final Japanese season played in the current format, as it reverts to the same timeline as European leagues in order to give Japanese clubs a better chance in the Asian Champions League. So it'll be interesting to see how that shift is reflected in Football Manager. If you like the Apertura and Clausura style of leagues in many South American nations, you can also get a taste of it in Mexico, which has recently attracted the likes of Sergio Ramos, James Rodriguez and Aaron Ramsey. One Mexican club that's not having a good time of late is Club Puebla, intriguingly named Los Camoteros, the Sweet Potatoes, who won the Mexican title in 1983 and 1990, but have struggled since. Puebla have only amassed 7 wins and 32 points in 62 games over the last 4 Apertura and Clausura campaigns, which probably isn't helped by 15 of the 26-13 players being loanees and sacking managers every 3 to 6 months. Your task is to steady the ship, bring some stability to Puebla, and use their strong youth recruitment to take on Mexico's best and claim the club's 3rd league title. Since Peru's Liga Uno was founded in 1913, 21 clubs have won the national title, and 73 of the 108 titles have been won by Lima's big 3 of Alianza Lima, Sporting Cristal and Universitario. Furthermore, 9 clubs in the top tier have never been Peruvian champions. Cienciano has spent the most time in the top tier without winning the title, currently competing in Liga Uno for the 42nd time. The Cusco club's biggest claim to fame to date was beating Argentinian giant River Plate to lift Copa Sudamericana in 2003. But your challenge is to end El Papa de America's 124-year wait for domestic success. South Africa may be one of the most challenging nations to overcome the dominant forces in FM26. The Mamelodi Sundowns have won the last 8 titles and will undoubtedly have a financial advantage given their recent Club World Cup involvement. However, one club on the rise is Sekhukhune United, which was only founded in 2020 but won the 2nd tier in its inaugural season. The Burgersfort club, which plays 100 miles away at the Peter Mokaba Stadium in Polokwane, which was built for the 2010 World Cup, finished 4th in the last 2 seasons of the South American Premiership, but it's currently 2nd after 9 games, trailing Sundowns by 1 point with a game in hand. So your task is to continue the rise of Babina Noko and win the club's maiden South African title. So there you have it. Those are our top 26 teams to manage when FM26 launches. But enough of what we think. Who are you planning to manage for FM26? Let us know by leaving a comment below.